Yo, what's up? This is Zuby.
Zuby is a musician. He's a rapper.
Proper virtuoso.
People can do what they want, man.
This is no test. This is no trap.
All the way from the UK, and today I am here in Texas, and we have official evidence that we are not the same person. I've been mistaken for this man many a time. My brother from another, my man Colion Noir. We're out here today doing some shooting, and yo.
We're in the same place, same time. Look, two different people.
There's two of us.
Two different.
Two of us.
One can grow a beard, one can't. Now let's do some shooting.
All the ammo used in this video was brought to you by Nosler, maker of the most innovative, most accurate, and most effective bullets and ammunition in the industry.
If I just take off in a full sprint out of nowhere, understand it's just because there's a wasp or a bee or something. I hate them. I hate them.
So bees and knives.
Huh?
Bees and knives.
Yeah.
Okay. The phobias.
What were you saying? Repeat what you were saying about the whole, the weird interaction between the performativeness when it comes to people's offense, and then people being offended on your behalf.
Yeah, well, I think we live in an age of performative activism in general, and oftentimes people who are unelected and unassigned to represent any certain group claim to, and then they will also then get offended on behalf of people in said group, even when those people are not offended at all. When those people are not offended.
That whole like being offended on my behalf, I wish people would stop doing that.
Yeah, it's annoying.
That's more offensive than anything.
It's annoying. It's like infantilizing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, bro, like, oh, cool. If I have an issue, like, I'll say, hey, you know, like, you don't need to get mad for me.
All right. So I'm just gonna pop off with a couple rounds, load up, and then I'll let you have at it. So we're at about 70, 80 yards.
Okay.
So right back here, we're probably about 80 yards. And so there's, we got a bigger target down there and then we got a smaller one.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how zero this rifle is.
Okay.
So that's why I'm shooting it first so that
test it out.
People are like, oh, he's missing. Yeah. And it's not, it has nothing to do with your ability to shoot.
Nice one, man. Is that one here?
So from your experiences being over there, I don't have a lot of experience over anything.
Yeah.
So from a gun culture standpoint,
from
an American standpoint, we look at it and like, it's like they're just, everyone is super anti-gun.
In the UK?
Yeah.
It is like that.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It is like that. Yeah. Maybe 9 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that bad?
Yeah.
So it's safe to say though.
19 out of 20.
Say it again?
So maybe 19 out of 20.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Now it's so much, I'm gonna go on a limb. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
I mean, is it because they've always known it to be that way?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, I often say that something funny between the UK and the US, and maybe this also applies to places like Australia and the US, is I think that because we all speak the same language, people assume the cultures and some of the socio-political stuff is more similar than it actually is. Like I would say in many ways, the UK, in terms of like the laws and some aspects of the culture and social stuff, is more similar to other Western European countries than it is to the USA.
Gotcha.
But because you got a language barrier with all those places, you might not realize the similarities between the UK and France or Germany or Belgium or Austria or whatever. But US, we speak the same language, we can watch the same movies, music, whatever. So people kind of assume, it's just the same. The US is like a big version of the UK, or the UK is a smaller version of the US. And while there is, of course, a lot of common history, right, which is why we even have the same language, there are some real important differences and distinctions in the culture and the mentality and the psychology and things that people are comfortable with and uncomfortable with, things that are big debates in the US versus not in the UK, and just how things are viewed. And I think in the US, and you see this even with freedom of speech, First Amendment, let alone Second Amendment, is even though my understanding is that a lot of US laws are actually fundamentally based off English common law, the US, at least the more conservative libertarian people in the USA, like this is much more of a debate now than I think historically it used to be, there's more of a concept of negative rights.
Gotcha.
Right? Whereas in those other countries, if you're looking at Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK to some degree, I'd say the UK is closest to the US in this regard, but in those other countries for sure, the notion is more of positive rights. And that fundamentally changes the psychology. It's the same across Europe. So people don't even understand that something like the Second Amendment, number one, they don't understand that it's a defense against tyranny, not about hunting or whatever, but they don't get the concept that it's not the government giving you the right to own a firearm.
It's like this is an inherent right.
Yeah, it's a negative right, but in most places in the world, that's actually negative rights is a very American thing.
Yeah.
In most of the world, rights are not thought of that way.
Yeah.
Rights are thought of as something that the government gives you, and therefore they can also take away. That's how you saw how different countries even responded with the pandemic and so on, and that's why on a deep psychological, cultural level, Australia went that way, New Zealand went that way, Canada went that way, US state to state even, right? The more conservative, libertarian leaning states, it was a more hands-off approach. Whereas the others, it was like, all right, the government needs to step in and do this and do this for you and do that for you, and we can take this right and take that right. We can give you that right, give you that right.
Yeah.
So I'd say at the core of a lot of it, it's that, and that's so deeply embedded. Like people don't even realize that.
Yeah.
I'm only aware of this because I spend so much time in both countries and I have all these conversations.
So you have this dual. You have a dual consciousness almost in a sense.
Yes.
So whereas and you've lived it. It's not even so much like, I visit there sometimes.
And I've been in both school systems. I've been in the American school system up until 5th grade. And I learned American history, and I learned like American civics and the founding of the country and all these concepts to the point that I know them better than a lot of Americans do. And then from the age of 11, I went to boarding school in the UK, and then I went to university in the UK, and then back and forth between the two countries so much, and not just traveling, but talking to people, doing stuff like this, meeting people, and just running a podcast, and just getting that understanding of like, okay, why is it like this here? Why is it like that here? Why is this the most common mentality here and there? I think in the States, even the difference between the states is so interesting. Yeah. Like why is Texas like this?
Yeah.
Right?
I think a lot of it has to also do with history as well.
Yeah.
And because I always look at it from the standpoint of you had a bunch of people who came from an environment where they didn't, that notion and idea of freedom really honestly hadn't really been ingrained in them because they were coming from.
The UK is a monarchy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now it's not like it was, but if you think historically, the UK just had like kings.
For queen and country.
Yeah, kings and queens.
Yeah.
And
then
that's it.
I almost liken it to like a bunch of kids who finally leave their parents' house, right? And then they leave their parents' house and they find a Chuck E. Cheese. And they're like, oh, this place is awesome. Yeah. It's like, we get to do all this stuff and no one can tell us what we want to do. And then the parents are like, all right, so look, y'all can stay there. Y'all can have fun, do your thing, but we're gonna need you to do this. We're gonna need you to do this. We're gonna need you to do this. And initially it's like, okay, fine. As long as we get to stay here, we'll abide by some of your little rules. And then over time, the rules started to increase and increase and increase and increase. I'm dumbing this down to an unbelievable
it makes sense though.
But, and then at a certain point, they're like, all right, this is no fun anymore. Like, you're ruining our fun. We don't even want to live with you anymore. We're grown-ups now. We're grown up now, so we're gonna live here. You know what? Off. And parents were like, no, we're coming over there to make sure that you do everything that you want us to do, or we're gonna bring you back. And then you had the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Now,
it's an accurate analogy, man.
Yeah.
And I think with so much stuff in the States, like one reason why the USA is a more volatile country, shall I say, than the UK. Some of it is age. I always tell my American friends that as far as countries go, the USA is a teenager.
Yep.
Using your analogy, right? It's a teenager. Yep. The UK is an old man, right? England's like, most European countries, it's like these are old men countries.
This is actually very true. I think your analogy is better than
this
mine.
country's 250 years old.
Yeah.
Like there's pubs in England from the year 800. My university was founded in the 1100s. So the university I went to is over 600 years older than the USA itself.
That is.
Right, and so are all the buildings and like all the stuff there. So it's just different. So I think so much of the dynamism and the entrepreneurship and innovation and the crazy stuff here, like positive and negative, to me, that's kind of like, this is just like a growing nascent country. It's a very experimental country too.
Very much so.
Very experimental in so many ways.
Before you finish watching this video, a word from our sponsor. Have you ever thought about making a living in the firearms industry? If you enjoy gun repair, ballistics, and learning about firearms, Sonoran Desert Institute's online courses might just be a good fit for you. To find out more, visit sdi.edu or call 480-999-4767 today.
So you don't own anything yourself?
Nah.
No?
Nah.
Is that on purpose or just?
I'm British, man.
I keep forgetting. but you're nomadic. So in my mind, like, it's kind of like the idea of like me bouncing around. I'm like, I always want a gun on me, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things you kind of develop as you get used to carrying a gun on you all the time.
Yeah.
People always ask you, it's like, do you feel naked without your gun?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I don't feel helpless, but I do feel like I like having that thing.
Yeah, most of the world, it's not an option.
Touche. Fair enough. So from that perspective, from the places that you've been, what place would you say kind of gave you the most concern from a safety standpoint, if at all?
San Francisco.
San Francisco?
I'm not joking. I'm actually not being facetious.
No, I'm laughing because I did a documentary about San Francisco. And then that was one of the places where I was just like, get me the hell out of here.
Yeah, I'm not being facetious at all when I say that. People think I'm like saying it to own the libs or whatever. I'm really not.
So what was it about San Francisco that kind of gave you the
It's just
biggest
sketchy, man.
Huh?
Just sketchy. The sheer amount of. So, homelessness in the U.S. is really different to most places. So I'd say like in places like what I see in San Francisco and LA and some other cities here is, it's not simple homelessness, which is primarily like an economic issue. It's the mental health and the drug use that's crazy. So in the UK or even in many other countries, like, I don't know, like most homeless people, like, yeah, you can talk to them, right? Like they're not, you don't feel threatened in any way. They just happen to be homeless. Whereas up there, it's like, there are some people who are really clearly not right in the head.
What I picked up on when I was there, it's a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's almost a chosen lifestyle.
Yeah, for some it certainly is.
A lot more than I realized.
And then I think the drugs that they use here are different, right? So so there's no opioid issue in the UK. There's no fentanyl issue in the UK. Like those are US things. Like I didn't
realize it was that.
I think the USA consumes over 90% of the world's opioids, and the USA is only 4% of the world's population.
It's nutty.
It's something approximating that. I might not have the numbers exact. But yeah, there's certain issues that are quite USA specific. And I think lots of Americans assume that they're kind of global or worldwide, and I'm like, nah, that's not.
I'll be honest, I was one of those people that kind of assumed that maybe.
Yeah, like what you see in San Francisco or downtown LA with like the homelessness and the drug use and whatever, like you'll struggle to see that in another country.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I can definitely.
You'll see homelessness anywhere in the world.
Now,
you won't just see people like shooting up heroin and.
I will say this though, those particular areas are rather isolated as well.
Yeah.
Even within America.
Yes.
Because me growing up in Texas, I go there and I'm like, it was otherworldly. Like I was like, where am I right now? So is there a platform that you find yourself kind of being drawn to out of all the guns that you shot, where you're like, okay, this is my thing?
I don't think I have enough experience to kind of have a preference
all
in
right,
that regard.
let's speed up that experience.
Yeah.
So this is the.
Oh boy, what is this?
This is I call this the video game rifle.
Yeah,
this is what it is. So this is the FN Scar.
Okay.
This is basically, it is, like I said, it's the video game gun. It's the gun that anybody who's played Call of Duty, anything like that, they know this gun.
Okay.
They know this gun intimately. And I've decked it out with some toys. Running it, have a 1:5 scope. This is actually a laser. Okay. That I run for like whenever I'm using night vision. I sound like I jump out of a helicopter.
You might.
And then of course I have my light up here. Kind of makes it a little front heavy, but you know, I like it because aesthetic.
I hear that.
There you go.
All right. When did you first get into shooting then?
I think I didn't shoot a gun until I was about 22, 23.
Oh, okay.
I was really young. Like, I mean, you're Nigerian. Like, it's not really ingrained in our culture.
No.
It's not really ingrained in our culture like that. So, you know, my mom was always just like,
connotations.
school, books, that's it. Like, none of that. She really didn't like the fact that I played basketball.
Guns are for like,
she's like, you're a doctor, engineer, or, and so, I had a good friend of mine who's also Nigerian. He took me, she's like, hey, you wanna go to the range one time? I was like, cool. And went, first shot, terrified.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? What did I get myself into? Second shot, never stopped. Never looked back. You're good.
Do I need to charge it?
No, you're good.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, just drop the safety and you're golden. Cool. What'd you think?
I love it, man. Call of Duty gun.
Yep, basically.
Yeah, man.
So these are almost set up almost exactly the same, right? So this is the 6-hour Virtus. This is the FN Scar. This is a 300 Blackout. This is a 5.56.
Okay.
This is a big ass suppressor. I'll just let you, I don't even want to shoot it first. I'll let you shoot it. Yeah, this manual arms are pretty much the same.
Cool.
And we're down. We killed the target.
Target down.
Shooting experience with suppressed versus unsuppressed.
Yeah, suppressed is it's more
It's
chill.
just, I mean, it's always ideal for me. I love shooting suppressed.
Yeah.
Sometimes, depending on the gun, what I don't like is the blowback. You'll get gas blowback.
Okay, yeah.
Because the gas has nowhere else to go but step backwards. And also depends on the suppressor. With this setup, there's not, you didn't notice much anyway.
No.
Blowback, did you? God, I love this thing. This thing,
It's nice. It's clean.
yeah, she shoots real clean. All right, so this is staccato.
Okay.
You familiar with staccatos at all?
No, I'm not.
All right. So staccato is basically a 2011. So you know the double barrel, the double gun one we had earlier?
Yeah.
This is the single version kind
Got
of
it,
that.
got it.
Except that it also has more rounds.
Okay.
Just in the simplest terms, it's a 1911 that has a bunch of rounds.
Okay.
That's essentially what it is. Now, there are gonna be people on the internet who are like, that's not what it is, it's actually this. They're pedantic about it, but. So Junior, put that red dot slightly to the right of that target.
Slightly to the right?
Yeah, because I noticed when I was shooting,
Okay.
it was my sight zeroed in a little to the left. So just hold to the right ever so slightly.
I can't tell if I'm...
All right, so you're shooting low.
Shooting low.
You're shooting low and to the right. All right, so now that was a little bit low to the left. A little bit to the right. You're just underneath it. Just over the top.
Why am I missing?
I'll tell you why in a second.
Okay.
Where you f***ed up is come and shoot with me. Because I have a bad habit. I like to shoot from distance.
Yeah, gotcha.
Most people never, at an indoor range, the longest you're shooting is 25 yards.
25, yeah.
You're shooting at 80.
Yeah.
So that's saying a lot.
Okay.
And so it's probably not the smartest thing to do for me to have you shooting at 80 starting off wise. But I mean, you weren't shooting terribly.
Yeah.
I mean, this gun kind of worked.
Yeah, yeah.
But the rest of them, you were shooting just fine.
Yeah. Powerful.
Shotgun for you.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a culture war against the Second Amendment, which is why I need your help spreading our message to counter their message. You can help do this by leaving a comment, sharing this video, and click the bell and subscribe button. Let my voice be your voice and let them know you want to keep America tactical, because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion, it was a directive. Also, if you're wondering where to purchase your AR-15s are essential, I will not comply. I am the militia, the new Draco design, and your state-specific Keep America Tactical shirt. Click the link under the Keep America Tactical in the description section of this video. Or if you're watching this on mobile, tap the small triangle on the lower right-hand side of this video and click the link in the description.